Hi everyone, and welcome to ABG Investor Days. My name is Nikola Kranowski, and I'm an equity research analyst here at ABG. With us today, we have Claes Zetterman, CEO of TCECUR. He will present to us his company today, and then we will have an opportunity for a Q&A. And with those words, I leave the floor to you, Claes.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Hello, everyone. Good to see you here. I'm going to talk a little bit about TCECUR, which is a fast-growing, entrepreneur-driven group of security companies. And we emphasize a lot delivering safety and security to citizens and society. We work with smart digital solutions, all the way from design to implementation and service. And we have a unique portfolio, as you can see, of three segments here: national security systems, secure communication, and advanced globally security systems. Meaning that this is a unique mix, which I think we're alone about having. And in each of these areas, we have a long history of working with large corporates and large public institutions in these different fields. We also have a high share of recurring revenues through long-term contracts with our customers, both for service but also license fees and maintenance. Today we are 10 companies, 10 portfolio companies, and around a little over 200 employees. If we start taking a look at the market, we see that the security market is growing very fast. This is the last projections for the coming 5 years. We estimate a global market growth of around 10%. And the driving force behind that is the strong demand for physical security in authorities, companies, and for individuals. Some market segments, though, are growing a lot faster than these 10%. For example, VMS, video management systems. That's how you integrate if you have large installations of, in some cases, over thousands of cameras to see what's going on, what's happening. Can you connect some pattern? Can you see some individuals, etc., etc., before something that shouldn't happen happens. The other thing is that there is a trend towards digitalization and smart technology solutions. And these are some examples that we work with all of them. It's either wireless solutions. We do a lot through the cloud these days, following the strict cybersecurity protocols, of course, and advanced integrations. These can include control rooms for example, for authorities and also for companies where you can have a good view and picture of what's going on in your systems. Camera surveillance I mentioned, and then last but not least, and I will mention a little bit further in the presentation, it's what we call alarm portals, which is basically a way of collecting information in your systems on an ongoing basis. And this is, for some clients, very complicated, because if you have, let's say, 300 or 400 properties, real estate, buildings that you have to manage, you have to allow temporary access, you have to do maintenance, you of course have to be ready if something happens, if there's a fire or if there's an intrusion. So it's very important to be able to manage that. And as we go through this digitalization of the security market, we also see that digitalization is becoming a very large part of it. And it creates special demands for managing this. And then we have the area of secure communication, and this is also growing fast. Traditionally, secure communication has been radio communication that are used by the authorities, if you have the police or the fire brigade or ambulances, etc. But today you also need it in essentially all municipal buildings and facilities, and you need to have good communication indoor as well as outdoor. So what we see there is a trend that not just voice, but also data communication is becoming more increasingly important. For example, if you have an accident, you need to transmit a patient information about a certain patient, or you need pictures from if there has been an accident or something like this. What we deliver in terms of solutions are, if you look at secure communication, first of all, is, as I said, not just radio, but it's mobile and data communication as well. And here we do customized control rooms. We integrate and we build application, navigation support, GPS support, etc. And we also work quite a lot with underground or an indoor coverage for these type of communication. We, for example, do in Sweden, we do all the big tunnels through Trafikverket, where there's a need for improved communication. And there you need to have the secure communication secured, but also you need obviously the mobile communication, normal radio, and so on to work properly. Physical security, here we have integrated systems as well, access control becoming more digitalized, intrusion detection, fire alarms, and we have this alarm portal that allows, it's a management tool that is unique in the market. Lamport is unique in that sense that it communicates with all alarm senders on the market. Maybe there is one that it doesn't work with, but it can easily be done. And it could actually work also with other type of alarms. If you have a fridge or a freezer alarm in a department store, if you have an elevator, server, and so on. Then we have access control, where we work to the top right with global access for companies. These are global multinational companies that want, similar to having global ERP system, you want to have global control over your security work. And here we build those systems. A lot of them are cloud-based together with our clients. This again is something that's really becoming more and more important. For example, we had a situation during the pandemic where we had a large international client, it's a streaming company, that wanted to close one of his offices in Singapore, and that could basically be done by press of a button here at the headquarters. So that's one example. Camera surveillance. I think anyone can mount a camera. Private, you can buy a camera and put in your house if you want. But if you have, again, a large system of many cameras for a sports arena, for example, where you have basically surveillance through an ongoing game, all these cameras needs to work together, and you need to be able to spot what's happening. So there's quite a lot of IT knowledge behind in making all that happening together. So what we do here, we do anything from design, installation, integration, quite a bit of programming, professional services, system surveillance, 24/7, and maintenance. So if you look at our business, basically, our business model is very simple. It consists of 3 parts. The first one is that we deliver the complete security solution for the clients. We have long-term relationship with most of our clients, a very high degree of recurring revenues and customers coming back time and time again through our professional services. And then the last point, which we also feel is very important, security is based on trust, and we believe that entrepreneurship, working closely with the client, is of essence, despite that we're working with these high technological solutions. We have 3 financial goals, and the first one is to grow 10% organically per year, plus acquisitions. That's an add-on. To reach a 10% EBIT margin, we are getting there step by step. It's a little bit like the high jumper Duplantis. We take one step at a time. If you look at our companies, some companies are already far above 10%. Some companies are not there yet, mainly because they're growing. Some companies doubled their revenues last year, for example. And then, of course, that has a certain price. Short term, we could easily get that up to 10% on the expense of growth. And then we also want to have a balanced risk-taking in our net debt quota of less than 2.5. Our strategies to reach this is, of course, growing. It's easier to grow profit and shareholder value in a growing market. And then we also have a fundamental belief that good companies are run by good people, and that we can always be a better company tomorrow than we are today. So we have a quite high focus together with these companies in improving our operational efficiency. And the last point is acquisitions. We've made 8 acquisitions since our IPO in 2017, and we will continue to do acquisitions. I might add that we are not the typical serial acquirer. We're more of a strategic partner in the fields that we work. And we are really concerned that our companies that we acquire fit well into our group, good collaboration with the other companies, and that they have a strong track record that we can build further on. So here is, if you look at the last years, so we've basically doubled in the last 3 years, or 2.5 since 2020. 2.5 times, and we've seen our profit double 2 years in a row. One thing to highlight here is that our cash flow is very closely linked to our EBITDA. It's not a very capital-intensive business that we are running, so we see a good cash conversion ratio for our businesses. Of course, this can vary month by month and quarter by quarter, but this is a little bit how it looks like in the last 3 years. We stimulate cross-fertilization across our businesses, and that are entrepreneur-driven. And if you look here into the 3 segments, we had RF coverage, the 2 TC Connect units in Sweden and Norway in secure communication. That's the foundation. That was the origin of our group. And we started invest in national security or physical security back in 2017. First acquisition working with global solution is AWT, Access World Technique. And then we have the other companies here with MySec, Lamport, Kungslos, and Automatic, and Sectragon that works in the national security system. We see quite a bit of synergies, both in terms of strategy development and implementation. Common customers, we can help each other out. Some are more specialized in camera installations, some are more into the access control systems, for example. So that's a good possibility. We've also reached now a pretty nice mass in terms of size. So we have an ongoing project in sourcing to get better conditions and working closer with our suppliers. Staffing, if there's excess in some place or need for people in another area, we can have people shift around. It also gives an opportunity to get new experiences within our group. And last but not least, tremendous amount of knowledge transfer. You know, what are the best recipes for running a business in the security market? We can learn a lot from others, which is difficult to do if you're a standalone entrepreneurial-driven company. So we enable growth of our companies through the strength of being a group, both financially but also capability-wise, which we are so far seeing big success with. And as I said, initially we're about 200, a little over 200 people today and growing. If you look at our customers, this is just a snapshot. Some of our customers, we can't even tell the name publicly. But if I tell you that we have a global American, large, fast-growing car company as one of our key clients. We have some of the world's most known streaming services as clients globally. You can get a flavor for what type of customers we're working with. Here are some examples. And so we have, of course, the public organizations that are working with secure communication. And then the national security we deliver to both public and private organizations. We have very few private customers. We have a few, but they have a little bit more budget than the average person. So if you want to put in an advanced system into your house. And then on the global scale, as I mentioned, we have global international companies, including investment banks, energy providers, and as I said, high IT and tech companies. So here's an example of Lamport, which is our digital and real estate surveillance solution. And it's kind of amazing that since we started working with this, we have, through our company MySec that developed it initially, it has handled more than 35 million alarm events in different systems for thousands of customers. And it's still growing. And as I said, it's compatible with all the alarm centers on the market. And it means that the information is safely secured and it's easy to manage access, maintenance program. And this client here that you see here, they've been able to save significant time and efforts, and it has helped them tremendously in their work for security. You have to imagine that if you are a municipality or a large organization, managing security is a big thing because there are lots of people involved, all the way from management to project leaders to sub-suppliers to installers, and then of course all the people working in these buildings that need to have access at a certain time, for example. And most of the work in a security system ongoing is not that there is an event of a fire or an intrusion. It's because you need to keep and follow the strict protocol that's dictated more or less by the government for these type of operations. So communication is effective and it reaches the right recipient with the right information at the right time, and it creates also a sustainable way of managing security. I think in this case, they've reduced the number of fixes of their system. They have, I think, between 300 and 400 buildings. They've reduced that significantly, I think, by over 80%, thanks to this Lamport surveillance solution that we have developed. So what are the opportunities ahead? Well, first of all, strong market growth, the increasing need for physical security and safety in the society, and for organizations, for companies, and for individuals. And we see the digitalization. A lot of older systems are getting replaced with the new ones. We experienced strong growth in 2023. We had an organic growth over 20%. and we expect the trend to continue. And we were pleased to see also that the bottom line results also followed our increase in revenue last year. We made 8 profitable acquisitions since IPO, and as I said in the beginning, we have a unique diversified portfolio. You're not just investing into one of these areas. And that's also what differs us if you look at our competitors in the different segments. In some segments, what we do is part of their business, but maybe not the main activity. In other areas, they still have not, let's say, acquired the technical competence and being in the forefront of technical development that's needed to have and be able to deliver creative, I would say, and smart solutions to the customers. We see overall very good prospect for future value creation. We have a high commitment by both management and the board. So I think the ownership is over 40% at the moment. Our market cap has grown to about 450 million SEK, and that's about 6 times higher than 2020. And of course, we also issued some stock of about 100 million in that process, but I think it's still a fair, nice example of value creation. So what you see here on the right is how the stock price has evolved on the NGM SME equity market. Our vision is to be a leading Swedish group in security. Perhaps not the biggest, but definitely leading in terms of the areas where we work, where we have a group of unique portfolio of profitable and specialized technology companies in the security sphere with secure communication. And we are entrepreneur driven. We always emphasize to keep things simple, but we want to have the momentum, the speed of response to the market that it's difficult to get if you're a large corp. The group offers strength and stability at the same time, and then we have this aspect of cross-fertilization that I mentioned. Close and long-term relationships, extremely important. Smart and value-adding solutions built on innovation, state-of-the-art technology. We also developed quite a bit of technologies ourselves in terms of programming, finding new solutions, which I think is something that is to a large benefit, and we'll also see an increasing trend of this going forward. High organic growth plus handpicked acquisitions, and if you look on the right here, you see the split of our business as it was in 2022. So why should you invest in TCECUR? Well, it's secure technology in a fast-growing, and I would say it's a non-cyclic market. We have this specialized group of technology company with a solid track record in these areas and to society's most demanding customers over many years. We have a proven business model with successful acquisition. So we have the best of both worlds, both in terms of organic and acquisition-based growth. High share of recurring revenue, and our target is to grow 10% annually. And as I've said several times throughout the presentation, the market is growing fast, and that's gives us, of course, a structural tailwind looking forward into the future.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the presentation, Claes. We have a few follow-up questions, if you don't mind. I thought perhaps if we could start with unit economics, just very simply. Could you just walk us through the unit economics of each segment in your business?
Yeah, so we have the 3 segments. So if you start with secure communication, we had over 50% organic growth last year. When the war started, basically all our inventories were sold out back in February or beginning of March of last year. But we also see that trend is continuing, and it's even more work for large organizations with lots of people that needs to be kept secure. And I think the other issue that has popped up, apart from moving into different type of systems and technologies for communication, is also that you need a redundant system. So if something happens, you need to have a way of communicating, and that's been very clear during the last 12 months, I would say. Secure communication is well above our 10% target, so it's a fairly profitable segment for us. If you then look at the national security, we had a pro forma, and I say pro forma because we made in the last 2 years, 2021, 22, so much acquisition that just to look at the organic from the beginning doesn't make sense. But the organic growth was around 20%, and I would say that profit is above average for the whole TCECUR. Global security had an organic growth last year of 8% versus 2020, which is far below actually what we've experienced in the last years. And that's due to some large projects that were delayed from this year. They were supposed to kick in, let's say, in the third quarter. And of course, we had staffed up for that, meaning that growth didn't come through, and also our profit was impacted in this segment. So that's below average, I would say. However, in the last quarter of last year, we saw a tremendous nice rebound. So we got back to growth. And we have, I think, one of the highest order stocks going into this year. So this year for AWT and Global looks a lot stronger. So maybe it was a consolidation year. I mean, AWT and Global Security System, when we bought them in 2017, they had a revenue of 7 million SEK. And I think last year they did, including everything, about 75. So it's been a tremendous growth, tenfold growth, only over a few years. And yeah, so that's a little bit where we are in the different segments to give you a flavor for it.
And if we just look back into 2022, I believe you grew pro forma organically by something like 28%.
Yeah.
Could you just help us unpack this growth? Where did it come from? Was it price increases, volume, or perhaps a combination of both?
Yeah, most of the growth came from volume. There's no doubt about it. If we look back and price increases and inflation in general, it really started to kick in towards the end of 2021. And then we saw it, of course, going up. Everybody got worried in the beginning of 2022, in the first half. And what we saw were price increases from our suppliers. We implemented those proactively to our customers, of course, throughout the first half of the year. But I think price increases at that point were moderate. But we see more an accelerated inflation and increases mainly in the fourth quarter of last year. So I would say that volume stands for about 70% of the revenue increase that we've seen. So still organic growth, excluding price, is still far above our 10% target. So overall, last year was a great year from that perspective.
Yeah, that certainly sounds great. And if we just dig into the segments a little bit, you have 3 segments: national security systems, global security systems, secure communication. When somebody, I guess, reads about the segments, they might find that the third one is a bit odd, I guess. How would you say that it fits into the entire group?
Well, I would say that all segments are odd. None are the same. But if particularly with regards to secure communication, that was where we started, because the TC Connect business is the same in TCECUR. The first 2 letters comes from, actually it stands for total communication. But anyway, that was the origin, and there was a decision made back in 2017 to expand into the physical security as well. And the first acquisition we made, which actually AWT, which today is Global Security Systems. There is also a big difference between global and national, because they use totally different system. There's some commonalities, but and the needs they serve are more or less the same. So it's intrusion detection, access control, and camera surveillance. So which you find in the national security systems as well. But they work on different standards, more advanced, I would say, for the clients that require simply the best that's out there in the market. Yeah, that try to explain a little bit. But we do see now, because of the environment around us in society, we do see a lot of inquiries, but also projects where we involve both physical security and secure communication. Because of the need, for example, for redundant system. What happens if you're a big corporate and you have 500 people in the head office and the 5G or 4G or whatever network you have in your area goes down? You need still to be communicate, and if there is a fire, there is an emergency situation. That's where you need to be prepared for. So there's quite a bit of overlap, and I think that trend is continuing, especially since secure communication now moving more into digital and data communication as well.
I'm afraid that we're out of time by now, but I would like to thank everyone for listening in, and for everyone watching the live stream, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.